If you've ever felt like you're constantly putting out fires or rushing to your mother's aid, only to find that the crisis was blown out of proportion or didn't exist at all, this episode is for you. Today, we're tackling the exhausting cycle of manufactured crisis head on. Covert narcissistic mothers are skilled at creating chaos and drawing their children into a never-ending series of emergencies. If you've struggled to establish boundaries or find yourself constantly drained by your mother's crisis, know that you are not alone and that there is a way to break free. As a certified Catholic neuro coach and survivor of covert narcissistic upbringing, I've developed a keen eye for identifying manufactured crisis and a toolkit of strategies for setting boundaries and maintaining emotional equilibrium. In this episode, I'll share my insights and practical techniques for recognizing and disarming this manipulative tactic. I invite you to keep listening. Don't risk remaining trapped in the exhausting cycle of manufactured crisis, unable to distinguish between genuine emergencies and manipulative ploys, and sacrificing your own well-being and autonomy in the process. Hi, I'm Christy Murray, and I'm on a mission to help women that were raised by narcissistic mothers heal and grow. As a certified neuro coach specializing in narcissistic abuse recovery and a survivor of covert narcissistic upbringing, I'm sharing the tools and support you need to thrive and break the generational cycle of narcissistic abuse. Covert narcissistic mothers often invent or exaggerate crises to keep their children emotionally engaged and under their control, making it difficult for them to establish independence and maintain healthy boundaries. In this episode, we'll explore how covert narcissistic mothers manufacture crisis to manipulate their children and provide practical strategies for identifying these patterns, setting boundaries, and breaking free from the cycle of manufactured chaos. We'll also take a closer look at how covert narcissistic mothers manufacture crisis to keep their children emotionally engaged and under their control. By understanding the patterns and motivations behind this manipulative tactic, you can begin to identify when a crisis is genuine or manufactured, set appropriate boundaries, and break free from the cycle of chaos. So here are some key aspects of manufactured crisis and practical strategies for addressing them. Here are some key aspects of manufactured crisis and practical strategies for addressing them. The first one is to recognize the patterns of manufactured crisis. Some patterns have their frequency. Manufactured crises often occur on a regular basis, such as every week, every month, or creating a constant state of chaos and urgency. Another one is centrality. It always typically revolves around the narcissistic mother's needs, her emotions, her desires, rather than genuine emergencies. There's also intensity. Manufactured crises are often blown out of proportion, with the mother presenting minor issues as life or death situations. You may also notice inconsistency. Your mother's narrative about the crisis may change or contain contradictions, as the focus is on creating chaos rather than addressing a real problem. Now let's try to understand the motives behind these manufactured crises. One motive is to get attention. Narcissistic mothers crave attention and may manufacture crisis to keep their children focused on them and their needs. Another is control. By creating a state of constant urgency, narcissistic mothers maintain control over their children's time, their children's energy, and their emotions. Also, they need validation. Manufactured crises provide opportunities for the mother to seek validation and reassurance from her children, reinforcing her sense of importance. There's also deflection. In some cases, narcissistic mothers may create crisis to deflect from their own shortcomings or to avoid taking responsibility for their own actions. So let's talk about some scenarios. One scenario is sometimes your mother may refuse to take her medications or fail to take her medications, so she gets sick and you have to take them to their medical provider to be seen. And then when you get there, they're all smiles and giddy with the medical provider, chit-chatting as if nothing is wrong. And then after the appointment, there's all these requests or things for you to do that's directly related to their care or simply what they want you to do. Of course, there's no medical finding, which makes it really difficult because then you're stuck with, is it true or not? Now here's some strategies for boundaries, which make things difficult for you because if you were raised Catholic, you feel guilty. You're stuck with, how do I decipher if this is real or not? What if they're really sick? But what if they're not? So here are some strategies for setting boundaries and breaking free from these manufactured crises. Number one is to trust your instincts. If something feels off about the crisis or your mother's reaction seems disproportionate, trust your gut. and take a step back to assess the situation objectively. Respond, don't react. When your mother presents a crisis, take a moment to breathe and respond calmly and rationally. I know it's hard, but rather than reacting with the urgency she demands. So ask clarifying questions. If your mother is vague about the details of the crisis, ask specific questions to gather more information and determine if the situation is real or made up. Set clear boundaries. Communicate your boundaries clearly and consistently, such as letting your mother know that you're not available 24/7, which is what she wants you to be, or that you'll only provide assistance in genuine emergencies. You're not turning your back on them, but just being clear. Also prioritize your self-care. Engage in regular self-care practices to maintain your emotional balance and resilience in the face of these manufactured crises. Prioritize self-care. Engage in regular self-care practices to maintain your emotional balance and resilience in the face of these manufactured crises. Again, I cannot stress the importance of getting support. Surround yourself with supportive people who understand narcissistic abuse and can provide validation for you and guidance as you navigate the challenges of setting these boundaries. Here are some more examples of manufactured crisis and how to respond. One example is that your mother calls you in tears, claiming that she's in financial ruin and needs you to lend her a large sum of money immediately. However, you know that she has a history of mismanaging money and exaggerating her financial troubles. How would you respond? Calmly express your concern and ask for more details about her financial situation. Offer to help her create a budget or find resources for financial planning, but make it clear that you're not able to lend her money at this time. Don't just open your wallet and don't just, here it is. So another example is that your mother constantly calls you with minor health complaints, insisting that she needs you to drop everything and come to her aid. Similar example to the other one. However, when you arrive, you find that her condition is not serious and she primarily wants your attention and sympathy. So how do you respond to that? Again, validate her concerns, but set clear boundaries around your availability. Encourage her to seek medical attention if necessary, but make it clear once again that you'll only be able to provide assistance in genuine health emergencies. Remember, breaking free from the cycle of manufactured crisis takes time and practice. You are conditioned to be guilty. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress as you learn to identify manipulative patterns, set boundaries, and prioritize your own well-being. With consistency and support, you can reclaim your autonomy and break free from the control of a narcissistic mother. Now that you understand how covert narcissistic mothers manufacture crisis to maintain control, you might be wondering how to apply this knowledge to your own life and relationship with your own mother. Many adult children of narcissistic mothers struggle to identify manufactured crisis in the moment and need personalized guidance to develop a plan for setting boundaries and breaking free from the cycle of chaos. That's why I've created the Heal Maternal Wounds quiz. This quiz is designed to help you assess your unique situation and receive tailored recommendations for identifying and disarming your mother's crisis creation tactics. By taking this quiz, you'll gain clarity on the specific patterns of manufactured crisis in your relationship with your mother and receive a customized action plan with practical strategies for setting boundaries, for maintaining your emotional balance, and reclaiming your autonomy. You don't have to let manufactured crisis control your life. Take the first step towards freedom and peace today. So go ahead and click on the link in the show notes and take the quiz. To get started, simply click on the link in the show notes or go to healmaternalwounds.com and take the quiz. It only takes a few minutes and you'll be on your way to breaking the cycle of manipulative chaos and reclaiming your life. One common question I receive is, how can I tell? Now it's time for common questions about a covert narcissistic mother. One common question I receive is, how can I tell the difference between a genuine crisis and a manufactured one? So one key indicator is the frequency and pattern of the crisis. If your mother seems to have a new emergency every week or every month, or if the crisis consistently revolves around her needs and emotions, it's likely that she's manufacturing them to maintain control. Additionally, pay attention to your own instincts. If something feels off or exaggerated about the crisis, trust your gut. Finally, observe how your mother responds when you set boundaries and don't react with the urgency that she demands. If she escalates the crisis or shifts to another manipulative tactic, it's a clear sign that the crisis was manufactured for control. Once you get better about noticing the patterns and these tactics, you'll actually see it coming. You'll notice that certain words are used, certain body language, certain tones, and it will just be clear to you. It will be a light bulb moment. Aha, I've seen this happen. This is the same thing as last time. Now I can see it coming. And then give yourself a pat on the back. You're on your way to healing. Remember, healing is a process. You didn't get here overnight. So find support and give yourself grace.